ask that you help lighten the burdens of those good people that make up the town of Edina. Also, dear Lord, we ask if you would to watch over the city employees as they go about the day-to-day operations of the town, and please keep them safe. Also, if you would look in upon your elected and appointed officials, and please give them the vision and the courage and the perseverance to do things as you would have them done, Lord. We ask this in Christ's name, amen. Renee, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now to sing the Star Spangled Banner, here's Tom and Kristen.
I thought it was that's what he was going to say too.
Sorry.
No problem. Margaret, do we have minutes of prior meetings that we need to address?
Yes, July 13th, the Board of Aldermen met in regular session with Mayor Strickler presiding. Alderman present, Renee Edwards, Ron Stansberry, Rick Winter, Bill Alberti, Dot Cricksizer, Delmer Strange, absent none. Mayor Strickler called the meeting to order and gave the invocation. The Pledge of Allegiance was led by Renee Edwards. Minutes of the June 8th and June 22nd meetings were read and approved. The collector's report was given and approved. Melissa Yoakum of 202 West Marion Street asked the board to consider some type of signs to help slow the traffic down on Marion Street. She said there are a number of children in that area and some drivers are driving too fast for city streets. There was some discussion regarding different options to slow the traffic down, such as the use of a speed bump, children playing signs, stop signs, or increasing the presence of police officers. Motion was made by Bill Alberti and seconded by Delmer Strange to install Watch for Children signs on West Marion Street and stop signs on West Marion Street at the intersection of North Baker Street. Motion carried unanimously. Motion was made by Renee Edwards and seconded by Ron Stansberry to pay all bills as presented. Motion carried unanimously. Annette Sweet, Ameren, Missouri Customer Service Representative, met with the board. She reported that Ameren customers have seen a 3 to 5% rate increase this summer. She also said the Energy Assistance Program is still in place. A residential customer can have their old working refrigerator or freezer picked up and recycled for free. They will receive a $50 rebate for each appliance with a limit of 3. The treasurer's report was reviewed and approved. Ty Parrish, utility supervisor, met with the board. He reported a busy month with the flash flooding on the southwest side of town, installing tubes, hauling rock, mowing, and etc. He said the fire hydrants have received a fresh coat of paint. Alderman Strange mentioned some particular areas of town with potholes and washouts that he feels should be addressed. Ty said they have had to prioritize since there is a lack of funds for street maintenance materials. Kelly Hayes, chief of police, met with the board. He noted that the invoice for the annual fee for membership in the North Missouri Drug Task Force was included in the bills. He said the Drug Task Force has been doing a great job for the city. Grants for funding this program have been cut, and he knew that some of the other cities and counties have voluntarily increased their fees to help keep them active. Kelly suggested that the city should also voluntarily increase the fees they are paying. No action was taken by the board at this time. Mike Wright, wastewater superintendent, was not present. Mayor Strickler said that he spoke with Mike, and the only thing that he had to report was the fact that he made it through the flood. Equipment was moved to higher ground, and instruments and supplies were moved to higher shelves within the lab, but the floodwaters did not get into the plant. The board considered an application for a building permit submitted by Leslie in the Woods to build a metal storage shed 40 by 50 feet south of their residence at 108 North Wilson Street. Motion was made by Renee Edwards and seconded by Ron Stansberry to approve the Woods application. Motion carried unanimously. An application for a building permit was submitted by Brian and Winona Banks, 505 North Fulton Street, to build a garage and storage building 30 feet by 40 feet at their residence. Motion was made by Dot Cricksizer and seconded by Delmer Strange to approve the permit for Brian and Winona Banks. Motion carried unanimously. Community Opportunities Sheltered Workshop, Kirksville, Missouri, is currently picking up recyclable materials at several businesses in Edina. They have a 24-foot enclosed trailer available now and would be willing time to set this in Edina for 1 week every month. Currently, they can accept cardboard, paper, newspaper, magazines, books, aluminum, and plastics, number 1 and number 2. Motion was made by Bill Alberti and seconded by Ron Stansberry to allow the sheltered workshop to set the recycling trailer on city property. Motion carried unanimously. Initially, the trailer will be located near the water tower on Main Street and eventually moved to the parking lot at City Hall. A regular monthly schedule will be established in the future. Mayor Strickler read a letter from Tom Devaney, city attorney, regarding the proposed ordinance authorizing the reading of future ordinances or bills by title prior to enactment. Fourth-class cities are authorized by statute to read bills by title only prior to their acceptance as an ordinance by the Board of Aldermen. Devaney says the Board of Aldermen has never adopted an ordinance accepting this statutory language as the approved method governing the city of Edina. Therefore, Devaney prepared a proposed ordinance for the city's consideration, which allows bills to be read by title only before being adopted. Mayor Strickler read in its entirety Bill number 698, proposed ordinance number 698, an ordinance specifically approving the method for adopting future ordinances set forth within section 79.130.1 of the revised statutes of the state of Missouri and repealing any prior ordinance previously adopted by the city of Edina, Missouri Board of Aldermen in conflict therewith. Motion was made by Bill Alberti and seconded by Rick Winter for Bill number 698 to be read by title only. Motion carried unanimously. Motion was made by Renee Edwards and seconded by Ron Stansberry to adopt ordinance number 698. Roll call vote was taken. Ayes, Renee Edwards, Ron Stansberry, Rick Winter, Bill Alberti, Dot Cricksizer, Delmer Strange. Nays, none. Motion carried unanimously. Under unfinished business, the payment of additional fees to the North Missouri Drug Task Force was addressed again. Motion was made by Ron Stansberry and seconded by Renee Edwards to pay an additional $350 to the Drug Task Force as recommended by Chief Hayes. Motion carried. The ayes were Renee Edwards, Ron Stansberry, Rick Winter, and Dot Cricksizer. Nays were Bill Alberti and Delmer Strange. Under new business, the 2014 audit has been completed. Copies were given to the members of the board and they will review it at the August meeting. Alderman Edwards noted that there are several lawns that need to be mowed. Chief Hayes said there are only 2 that have not been mowed. Several others need to be mowed again, and he will be contacting the owners or renters of these properties. Motion was made by Renee Edwards and seconded by Delmer Strange to close a portion of the meeting pursuant to 610.021.3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded. Roll call vote was taken. Ayes were Renee Edwards, Ron Stansberry, Rick Winter, Bill Alberti, Dot Cricksizer, and Delmer Strange. Nays, none. Motion carried and the meeting was closed. When the board returned to open session, motion was made by Bill Alberti and seconded by Rick Winter to adjourn. Motion carried and the meeting was adjourned.
Well, that's the way I remember it. Are there any additions or corrections?
Back on the fire hydrants, there's several that ain't been painted. And there's one down there on South Wilson Street that you can't even see for the weeds.
So did I say they'd all been painted? So if I did, then they have all been
You can't
painted.
even see the floor.
I can't see them.
Where at?
Down there on South Wilson Street, down there where the old cement stuff with the house used to be, down there behind the co-op.
So
Yeah.
I said, he said that the fire hydrants have received a fresh coat of paint. So I'll correct that to say some of the fire hydrants.
Okay. Any other additions or corrections? There being no other additions or corrections, we'll just consider those minutes approved by consensus, by acclamation, by... Okay, let's see, rolling right along.
We had one other little special meeting,
We did? Oh, I'd forgotten.
July 27th at 6 p.m. The Board of Aldermen met in special session with Mayor Strickler presiding, Alderman present, Renee Edwards, Ron Stansberry, Rick Winter, Bill Alberti, Dot Cricksizer, Delmer Strange, absent none. The board considered an application for a picnic license submitted by the Knox County Promotional Council. The license would permit the sale of 5% beer by the drink at a beer garden during the Knox County Corn Festival on September 11th, 12th, and 13th. Motion was made by Rick Winter and seconded by Renee Edwards to approve the application submitted by the promotional council. Motion carried unanimously. Mayor Strickler informed the board that the 6-yard and 8-yard temporary dumpsters are very popular and there continues to be a waiting list to rent them. He recommended the purchase of one of each of these sizes to accommodate the needs of the city's trash customers. Motion was made by Ron Stansberry and seconded by Delmer Strange to order 2 new dumpsters. Motion carried unanimously. Motion was made by Renee Edwards and seconded by Ron Stansberry to adjourn. Motion carried. The meeting was adjourned.
I'd forgotten about that one, but now I remember it. Seems like I was there. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? There being none, those minutes are also approved. Well, do we have a collector? We do have a collector. And the collector's report?
Yes. Collections for July, the water total, $26,054.15. Sewer total, $28,278.32. Sanitation total, $14,689.80. General fund total, $8,646.81. Recreation total, $333. Street total, $1,096.97. Special lights total, $116.51. Meter deposit total, $570. Reserve and improvement fund total, $3,044.61, with a total collected $82,830.17.
Very good.
I did have 2 people that we shut off this month, but they've both been in and paid and got things going again.
Good.
I did order the 6-yard and the 8-yard dumpster. I called to check on that today, and they said they should be here by the 1st of September.
Super duper. Any questions for Melissa?
Prices were pretty much what we got on those? On
Yes,
those dumpsters?
yes. I think they were a little bit higher. I don't have the invoice yet, but we knew they were gonna be a little higher than those.
Nothing drastic, huh?
I don't think so. And then the only other thing I had, you guys had asked me to bring back to you this month about the stop signs and how they were working.
Yeah.
I think they have detoured some people off of the road, but the ones that are still on the road are either not stopping or they're using it as a racetrack in between both stop signs. So, Kelly and I talked about it today. I said, it's usually worse in the mornings and in the afternoons. Personally, I think if you just put a speed bump for a couple weeks, that I know other people are saying no, but nobody's using the stop sign anyway, and it's making it worse where we needed the help. So it's up to you guys, but
I don't think it hurt to move them on down to the next intersection.
That's a complaint I can't locate.
Put them there in front of Susan Ludwig's and the Mike Cotty.
That's the complaint I've heard.
the only thing that's hard about that though is that the streets don't line up,
Right.
No,
so it makes it a little harder, but
that's where they need to be.
I don't know.
Cause they got a pretty good jump from that intersection, one down, no speed on.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You want to move the stop signs or try the speed bump? What's your pleasure?
Ty, is there gonna be sewer down that street work? Is that if we put a speed bump there?
I'd have to look at the map. It'd be something, but it'd be lined. I don't think that's a replacement there.
You don't think what?
I think
He
they
doesn't
put,
think it's
they
a
put
replacement.
manhole, they're gonna put a manhole in right there at the end of,
Right in front of Susan's house.
Cottage Street. They're gonna replace that manhole, but I believe that that's just getting a relining because, they wouldn't just replace a manhole if they were gonna replace the whole sewer, they'd do that all in conjunction together.
Stop signs down there, but enter the service.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the speed bumps. They have to tear up the street. No, I was talking about speed bumps.
And have any of you drove over there and actually looked at the street that aren't familiar with it? Because the thing is I'm afraid wherever you put the stop signs in the winter is going to be an issue. It's hilly, it goes like this, people are either, the bus, they're either gonna stop and not be able to get started, or something, cause the bus won't even, when it's really bad, they call me and say, we can't pick up the kids, can you take them? Cause they can't get up the hill.
That was one complaint I had too.
So, I don't know. I know that some people had said last time that there were issues all over town. We have the speed bumps. Why do we not use them to slow people down? I know it's a pain. I know people don't like the complaints, but it's better than having a parent in here that their child's been hit because somebody wasn't paying attention or speeding. I was standing on my front porch the other night and saw a car go by and hit all 5 gears before they got to the stop sign and then slid through it sideways.
That's when you need to call the law.
By the time you get inside to call somebody, Renee, when you have 4 kids outside, you get inside to call somebody, they're gone.
Yeah, but you probably recognize the vehicle, don't you?
I don't know who it was.
You don't?
I have no idea who it was.
Does it happen often enough we could go make videos of it?
I don't know if it would or not.
That
I'm just
would
worried
be-
somebody's gonna get hit over there.
It'd be an interesting video.
Try speed bumps.
I think so.
I don't know what'll work.
About some tickets. I mean, I can say it, but
I sat over there several different days this last month, and that's in the afternoons, and I didn't see the traffic that she's talking about. Now, she's talking about later in the evening.
I'm talking later in the evening and early morning.
It's there.
Mhm.
yeah.
And see, I'm not home during the day, so I don't know what it is like during the middle of the day.
Pretty quiet in the afternoon.
But I also think it's gonna pick up when school starts.
What did the speed bump do on Broadway? Did it work? Did it do its job when it was on
It
Broadway?
irritated people. I know that, but I don't
That's
know.
true, but did it actually slow anybody down? I'm thinking speed bumps.
Not
but
many
we
calls,
never-
but a lot of comments.
It must have.
So what time are you saying, like 8:30 in the morning, Melissa, 8 o'clock, or 9, or what are you talking, date of the
Well,
morning?
I'm at work from 8:30 to 4, so I don't
So it's
see what
before that.
happens in between there. It's in the morning, like last year, I saw somebody going so fast that they went around the bus in my yard.
I know you said that, but I'm saying like
And in the
7:30 then, or 8?
That's probably 7, the bus gets there about 7:40, so I'd say between 7 and 8, when people are going to
When
work
Paul's not on
and
duty yet.
going to school. And then in the afternoon, from the time kids get out of school, when I get home, we're usually outside until 7:30 or 8.
I'd say we've already got the speed bumps, let's try them out.
Somehow we're gonna have to stop it.
Well, then I'd be taking it for winter though anyway, so we might as well.
Well, I'm
get
not
it
even
tried.
thinking you have to leave them there for
Right.
very long, but you'd said that there were some other places around town, why not put them and just remind people to slow
We've only
down?
got the 2 though, right?
Well, that's what I mean, just move them
Yeah,
periodically if they need to
yeah,
be.
1, yeah. Well, I'll make a motion to put speed bumps, try them for the time being.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? So there being no further discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk, I counted 6 ayes, no nays, and no abstentions. Let's try the speed bumps.
Just west of your driveway?
I don't care where they're at per se, but where the kids are crossing are between, usually they cross there on Cottage Street and then they have to jog around on Marion and back on Cottage Street. Some of them, a lot of them, like the ones that come from Hodges' house, which they're gonna be moving, so that won't be as big of a deal, but they were actually cutting through the yard to my house and then cutting across. So I'd say anywhere between the Cottage Street that goes past Delmer's and Trimble's and my lower driveway. But I don't know without going over there and actually looking at it what will work. but somewhere along there needs to slow people down a little bit. And there are a lot of older people that walk along that road, kids,
Yeah.
teenagers, and it just makes me nervous somebody's gonna get hit one of these days.
I'll tell Becky Childers who's,
Yeah.
older people.
I don't know who that of them are.
I thought you meant me.
You're on his live video.
I'm gonna tell Becky to slow down.
Melissa, you weren't talking about me? I didn't
No.
say anything because I thought.
No.
I walked
You'd
out
be
a lot.
surprised how many people walk along there.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions for, collector?
Who actually puts
Time.
time?
Probably Ty and
Is there a
Jason.
sign that goes with it?
Is there a speed
Is
bump
there?
sign? Yeah, I thought there was.
Okay.
So what about the stop signs?
Oh, what about the stop signs?
So we eliminate the
I
sign?
wasn't in favor to start with, I was always in favor of
I
speed bump, but
think-
you all do whatever on that.
Might as well pull them up.
Yeah,
and
so
not
they
burn
burn
it.
it.
What the stop signs? The ones that we just put there, don't you think?
Going around the circle.
Are they hurting
You want that,
anything?
Neil?
I say when you put
No,
the speed
it's
bump
just
there,
something
a lot of
that
them
slide
are
through.
A
going
lot of people aren't
round,
stopping
round
on it
bend.
anyway.
It could go either way.
What could be
So I don't
They're not paying attention
Tell that
anyway,
street
so they can be
complaint.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're gonna go that way. I do it very well.
So what do you wanna do? You wanna leave them there or pull them up?
Let's leave them,
For
they
right
put them in
now.
there for a while, they haven't been in long enough. I'd leave them for a while.
Right.
Is that a consensus?
Yeah, I think.
Sounds good to me. Unless,
And then speed up, but don't work, so we have to.
You got a
back up
better
and
idea?
back for a while.
That was my idea.
Was that correct?
Stop one of mine,
we put gates there.
Toll, let's just make it a toll road there, that'll slow them down. Save a toll.
Thank you very much, Melissa. And the city treasurer is with us this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Fine, good evening.
I'll sit down so we We did get the money from in that we'd already spent on our project, so that was deposited this month. For last month.
Super duper.
And Margaret, the 911, if that's in with the bills for this time, okay. So we need to amend the budget, because I was a little short on that. So
On what?
with your approval of the 911.
Oh,
We
yeah.
budgeted 13,000 and it's 16,667.
The bills in there, it's actually
Yeah,
16,000
so I would appreciate an amendment, because you're actually supposed to amend it before you spend it.
So.
I move that we amend the budget to reflect the actual figure of 16,667.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Alberti. That was a second, Mr. Stansberry?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Anybody needs to see that again? No further discussion on that. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. Madam Clerk, 6 ayes, no nays, no abstentions.
I didn't understand the bill. Is it 50,000 a year or is it
No, that's over 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but what threw me is the first year we paid like 3,000 and something, and the second year we paid 13, because the project was behind, so
It wasn't a full year.
it wasn't a full years, and I
Right.
was thinking it was a full years, and that's what threw
So
me.
it's gonna be around 16.
Next year it will be
Yeah,
16 also,
third of-
and I don't know where it goes after that, because I guess next year will be the official third year.
Right.
So we know.
Well,
what-
the first year ends this month.
First year
On the
ends.
25th, it started on
Right,
August
so we're paying,
25th.
so we're paying for the second year,
Right.
and next year we'll pay
Pay
for
for
the
the
third
last year.
Right.
And the way it was set up was, I think, 60 the first year and 50 the second and 50 the third. And then they renegotiate the contract for however long that's gonna be.
Okay,
That's not all
50
the
in
added.
total, 50 in total, and we've got 30.
Correct.
Okay.
I was asking her, I should.
Useless knowledge.
Okay, unless you have any other questions on the financials.
No. I guess,
I looked at it.
Yeah.
I didn't see any issues.
no, it looked good, I thought.
It's really good.
But it sounded very complimentary of our financial system and those who work so hard to keep it straight.
So it's more like it should go.
Amen. I hope it stays that way. We'll do our best to make sure it stays that way. Any questions for Peggy? Well, thanks for coming to see us.
I noticed in our monthly bills, there's some bills that have to do with the sewer project. Do we have to order funds?
I'll address that in my report.
Okay, you're, Peggy's not involved.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
How about the monthly bills? Or do you want to wait until he's
Well,
addressed his?
do we just approve payment?
Do you wanna move me up and go ahead and address that? It doesn't matter to me. It's up to you.
He's brought all this.
Well, what's in there is separate from what he's gonna talk about, so as far as approving these should be our normal.
You
Well,
can,
he's
you can
got
approve
one
those
here.
exclusive of the sewer bills if you want, cause you gotta approve the pay requests individually anyway, so.
Yeah, 'cause there's one in there.
Right.
There's one in there.
Cleaners.
I move that we pay
It's
the bills
part of what I'll do.
in the folder with the exclusion of any relating to the sewer project.
There you go.
That'd be that one in there.
I think it's just one.
I just saw one,
There's
yeah.
some materials in there,
Yeah, that should be, I need a copy of that.
You guys don't want a pen card?
We're gonna pay him separate.
we're gonna pay him.
Is there a legal bill in that grouping too?
That was for an ordinance.
Yeah.
Doesn't have anything to do with the sewer project, okay.
Yeah, nothing to do with sewer.
Okay, should we pay these bills?
No backlash.
Make a motion, we pay the bills as they are.
Well, thank you, Mr. Stansberry. Was that Nog, was that a
was
second?
what- that was- Bill made that.
I made the
Yeah, he
motion.
made
Who
that.
seconded?
He seconded it.
I'll second it. And third.
Okay,
You got it?
any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. Madam Clerk, I count 6 ayes, no nays, no abstentions. I guess we're gonna break for our public hearing. Now, but before we start the public hearing, I'd like to have added to the permanent record is that you all noticed the passing of Dayton Grover, who was a longtime city employee with he was a dispatcher for years and years and years. And then he was also, head of the water department at one point, did that for several years until we hooked on to Clarence Cannon. He was always an exemplary employee, and I just think we should note in the permanent record that the town will be just a little sadder place for his passing. So everybody say a little prayer for Dayton. That being said, it's now time for the public hearing.
Well, do you wanna do the people in the audience?
They may have all come for the public hearing at 7:30.
No.
I doubt
You don't
they
think
have
so?
either. Well,
It won't take long.
this shouldn't take long. And here's the notice for the public hearing. A hearing will be held at 7:30 PM, August 10th, 2015, at the City Hall in Edina, Missouri, at which time citizens may be heard on the property tax rates proposed to be set by the City of Edina. The tax rate shall be set to produce the revenues which the budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2015 shows to be required from the property tax. Each tax rate is determined by dividing the amount of revenue needed by the current assessed valuation. The result is multiplied by 100, so the tax rate will be expressed in cents per $100 valuation. So the proposed tax rate for 2015 is 0.7500 for the general fund and 0.1474 for the special light fund, for a total of 0.8974.
And that's exactly the same as it is now, so it's not going up or down. And we already got the information back from the state that verifies that's what our rate should be.
Basically, they set our
They
rate
set it.
for us, and yeah, we have to have this hearing, and then we have to approve this rate. But, if we decided we needed more revenues and raised our rate, it wouldn't fly, because they tell us what our rate can be. Well, that first part makes it sound like, well, we can set it wherever we want to.
We can't.
But we can't. So, are there any citizens who would like to express concerns, comments about the proposed tax rate? There being none, I'll ask the board to approve the tax rate. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to.
Thank you, Renee. Is there a second? Thank you, Dot. Oh, was that a Dot? Thank you very much. Any further discussion? There being no further discussion, we're voting to raise the or not raise, leave the tax rate the same. All those in favor, raise your hand. Or do we need a roll call vote? Oh, this is money. We always do a roll call vote. Okay, Mr. Strange, we're doing a roll call vote instead of a yay or nay. Mr. Winter?
Yes.
Mr. Alberti?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Stansberry? Ms. Cricksizer?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And now the public hearing is over. Now, back to our regular story. Regina Leckby, Knox County Promotional Council.
That would be me. Thank you for the special meeting.
You're
I
quite welcome.
apologize for not being here.
You're quite welcome. We're just
I
happy
am
to-
here tonight to ask for the street closings that we normally have. 4th, Main, Clay, and Monticello. Out here, I think it's Monticello.
It is.
I forgot to check. The same streets we always have,
Okay.
For the Corn Fest?
yes. And it's September 11th through 13th.
Are there any objections, or do you want a motion for that?
Is that a
We just have a consensus on that we'll
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
close the streets.
Okay,
So
and
that's
my
no
second
problem.
thing is, to ask for a donation to the Corn Fest.
What did we do last year, $500?
I think it was
It's 1,000.
She's right.
I think so too.
They know about, they asked us when they were getting ready for construction, if we had any festivals or anything and where it was located, so they all
It shouldn't, construction really shouldn't impact that.
Yeah, they all have the dates.
They work Monday through Thursday, unless the weather gets them, but we can make sure they're not working in those areas.
How about, monetary, we always work out a deal, a little contract with the promotional council and give them some money. I think it was $1,000 last year, since they do such a good job of promoting Knox County and the city of Edina. I think we get good value for our investment on this project. Lord knows these volunteers work hard to bring us the best possible corn fest anybody could ever have. So I guess as the chair, I would ask to do what we did last year and go $1,000 for the promotion of Knox County and Edina.
Motion to that effect.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. And thank you, Mr. Strange, for that second. Is there any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. Madam Clerk, I count 6 ayes, no nays, no abstentions. Let the festival be held.
Thank you.
Just wish it
And I
was
can
tomorrow.
just With the letter, and I'll just come back in.
Yeah,
Tomorrow?
Wednesday or,
Okay, why don't we do Wednesday?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
Now, do we have a Thomas Kristen? Is this your farewell tour?
Not quite, not yet.
Good.
Closer. All right, so I'm here on behalf of the community center. You guys wrote us a letter when we were starting up, talking about how, and I have copies of the letter here if anyone would like it. But every year you guys have, so far to this point, have reimbursed us the cost of water, sewage, and trash. So I'm here again this year asking for that, and we were doing from May 14th through May 15th. And the grand total for that full year came out to $2,000, $72.72. So I was wondering if we'll just do, in the spirit of goodwill, just the flat rate of $2,000 if you guys would like to do that. Or you can do the full amount if you'd really like to.
So this is a copy
I
that we
guess that-
handed it to last year to make it the 15.
Is that what you have?
So Melissa ran let's see, what you paid in the month of May, let's see, June, so you went back.
I went back one more and didn't put.
So then you don't have this one
No.
on up here, you went back one more there. So the figure you have is 2,000 and
72.
We've done last year on that.
72 cents.
Oh, even 2,000.
For the upkeep
And
of
72 cents.
the community center. Before the community center was built, of course, they asked everybody in the community for letters of support. They asked people for monetary donations, and one of the things that we did as the city was promised them that we'd help them out with the water and sewer and trash. Of course, we never thought they'd actually get the thing built, so.
Would you guys like a
And
copy
then,
of
you
the
know,
letter?
they turned around and actually got the thing
Oh,
built.
okay, you already got yours. Send one down there to Delma too.
But I think, you know, my position, of course, is I think we're very lucky to have the facility. It's a miracle that the thing occurred. The planets all lined up just right, or we wouldn't have gotten the thing. And I think this is pretty cheap to have a very, very nice facility. And that,
Well, we said we will pledge monetary support equal to the cost of water, sewer, and trash bill. I think we had a month to approve it.
So basically, last year we just amended our contract to replace the amount, which last year made 1,500.
well,
He's the only alderman in the
I think we could probably do that again, so
Well, we're not doing what we said we'd do then, are we? I mean, if we said we'd give them, we'd reimburse them,
Yeah,
Well, that's what,
we ought to do that.
I think so
that's,
too.
yeah, that's this amount here, this $2,000.
So that's, here's this year's deal.
2017.
$2,000.72.
Ah.
Why do we have 1,500? Did we amend that then?
Yeah, that's what would be amended, 1,500.
That's what we did last year,
Yeah.
but we would do a new contract and put
And insert
this year's
2,000.
dollar figure in there. Margaret would type that up and.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Certainly.
Why do we collect the money from them and then give it back? Why don't we just not bill them?
Legally, you have to collect, from what I understand initially, legally, you guys had to collect money.
Yes, you would violate your USDA approved ordinances if you didn't collect the money.
Yeah, that's what it says.
You can choose to reimburse them if you want, but
Okay.
you have to collect
Yeah,
them.
but bill it.
It's an obvious question, not an obvious.
Sounds like government to me.
It's the way it works.
That is the way it works.
Well, at least they're not purchased interest.
But that's nice of them.
We can add that on next year if you like.
Oh boy, if they don't pay,
That's at
we're on
72
like
cents.
point on rice with a 10% penalty.
I move that we pay them $2,000 to
Thank
reimburse
you,
them
Mr. Albert.
for their actual expenses on
So we're gonna
water, sewer,
round
and
it
trash.
to 2,000.
Just round it.
Okay,
Simple for you.
2,000 sounds good.
Second
Thank you, Mr. Winter. Is there any further discussion? There being no further discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. Madam Clerk, I count 5 ayes, 1 nay, and no abstentions.
One nay was,
Ms. Edwards.
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, anything else? Any big projects in the works?
Well, we're in the hiring process right now, so
Sorry to hear that.
we've had
So I
some,
guess I'm glad to hear it, glad to hear that you get to.
well, no, we've had some phenomenal applications. We've had some very good applications locally and from people outside the community, so we're really excited to, the board's currently sorting through all that. So we have a lot of really good looking prospects. So community center future looks very good, so
I'm
thank you
glad
guys
to
for all
hear
your
that.
help.
Well, thank you
Thanks,
for doing
Tom.
such a fine job. Mr. Waite, do you have any comments? Okay, well, thanks for coming. Citizens' comments.
I have-
Anybody, oh, did you have one there in the cheap seat?
Yeah. I have a couple. Actually wrote down some questions. Okay. I was told on Friday that the Knox County Community Development Corporation owns the building at the Edina City Lake, which was once the Edina Golf Club clubhouse. Do you, the Edina City Council, agree that the building or buildings built by the golf club now belong to KCCDC?
Well, I would hope so, but
When KCCDC bought the property of the golf club, they were buying the building, were they buying the buildings or just the contents of the buildings? And what type of documentation do they have showing that the building belongs to them? Did you guys provide them with some sort of a deed, or did they own property on the city lake property? Okay, we'll keep going. So do you, the city council, have any say in what happens to the buildings and who occupies them? Keep going.
well, I think the city council has always been happy just to not have the burden of having to do anything about the building, not having to expend any city funds to upkeep the buildings.
I saw that. I saw that in the contract between the golf club and the city when the golf club took it, which.
But at the time that the golf club ceased to be, we didn't produce any paperwork or.
Right. And according to the original contract, it says at the termination of the lease or an extension thereof, the leasee shall turn over the grounds to the city, and the city is under no obligation to pay the leasee for any improvements to the above described land or any building located on the above described land. And then if you skip down a little, it says the consideration for this leasing is the improvement of the grounds and the construction of a golf course that will eventually be owned by the city of Edina. Have any of you read the contract? Anyone?
The original contract?
The original contract between the golf club and the city of Edina?
Oh, I did 20 years ago.
Right, because it's old.
I can't quote it to you today, I hate to tell you.
Okay, so then my next question is there a contract between the city of Edina and the Knox County Community Development Corporation for the use of the city's land, parking lot, land in the area, land under the Old Country Club, whoever it belongs to?
No, I guess there isn't, but I don't know what, we really don't have a present use for the land underneath the golf course, the
Right.
country club, or we really don't have a present use for the parking lot, so, if there's somebody that will
Keep it up,
keep
yeah.
up the building and keep the place mowed, and then, it looks like a win-win while we, continue to get the recreational benefits of the lake itself. And we've, I know it's been a while since we've restocked the fish and added the,
Not really, you guys restock the fish every year. Tom Margaret has restocked the fish every year.
We did last year. Yep.
I think we might have skipped a year or two, but.
Well,
I know we did last
yeah,
year.
not every year, but every year, every other year I've
Anyway, we
gone out and-
continue to enjoy the benefits of the,
Yeah.
of the recreational, and we're, we're getting the thing mowed at the present time, so it's not all grown up in trees and brush and such and so forth.
That is under contract.
Yeah.
that is under
That is under
contract.
contract.
So, are you guys planning on having any kind of contract with the Knox County Community Development Corporation? Are they out there with a lease or without a lease? Is that not a big deal?
Well, I didn't think it was a big deal, but I guess if everybody else thinks it's a big deal, I guess we can expend funds on legal matters and have all kinds of contracts drawn up.
Well, what does the board think?
Why are we asking this? What's happening? What's going on?
The
Why do
Old
you
Country
wanna know?
Club is in the process of being remodeled
Yes.
and has been for a while, and they're about to get new tenants, basically. People are gonna be out there using that land, so. Which is a
live
good
there?
thing for the building,
No.
because the building went into such disrepair
Oh, the
that
church.
it needs somebody in there to be keeping it up.
Do we own the building, or does the community, the promotion club council own it?
The Knox County Community Development Corporation.
Development council, yeah.
Well, I've always thought that the community development, but I guess we could squeeze them out if we wanted to, probably.
Did they buy
We
the
could
building?
probably, when the country club went under, the country club owed several people, mostly businesses around town, a certain, $25,000.
Quite a bit.
So rather than just all the businesses getting stiffed, the Community Development Corporation paid off all the bills and took over the possession of the building, which we thought was doing a favor to the city, since the city would not have any upkeep, then any utilities, they wouldn't have any financial responsibilities and any worry about the building, so.
And historically, the city leased the entire lake property to the golf club for only $1 per year, and this went on for decades.
Right.
So,
And we were thankful to have the recreational facility, but when the membership got so old, it got, you know, they very inconsiderately all died off on us. And the membership got so low that the club couldn't financially support itself, and it sadly went under. It pains me every time I drive past it to think of all the hard work that it went into getting the thing going to begin with. But that was a different time. There was a lot more
It was the
people, you know, there
60s.
was, instead of 1,200 people, there were 1,600 people in town, and instead of 4,000 people in the county, there were closer to 6,000 people in the county, and the upkeep was cheaper back then, so anyway, that's water into the bridge. It's now a hayfield.
and I'm asking these questions because I'm being asked these questions and I don't know the answers.
I do have a concern, I don't even, haven't even addressed with Davey, but when you sold it to them, the country club building, none of us kinda knew it, if I recall right. Is that right, Davey? We didn't realize it till Dee Stauffer come to the table and I'm not trying to throw you under the
Showed up
bus.
and they all thought they should be able to buy
Yeah,
a
I'm
piece
not
of the
trying to throw you under
country
the bus,
club
but it was kinda
today.
done before we knew what happened. The
Well,
council.
I apologize for that.
Well, but as be, it's been done, but the country club, golf club's sheds should not go along with it, because those were not property of the country club, they were property of individual members. I've always said that from day one. They should buy just the building as it was done and not the golf club sheds. We don't need to have them strung over here and them, we need to get that part stopped, that was my opinion.
I disagree, but,
Okay, well, yeah.
Is there documentation that says they own it?
I asked around and it sounds like they have like a receipt. It doesn't sound like there's like a deed for the building. I don't
well,
know.
there probably isn't. There was never gonna be a need for one. Any more questions along this line, or can we
No.
get back to business?
So, I mean, is it something that you guys will find out and I can get back to you about, or?
Yes, we will find out, and you can get back to us.
Thank you. That's it.
I think we need to talk to John probably about that. Is he here?
No,
He
I
is
was
not.
hoping he would be here.
Well, let's move along, if we can, to item 12. Mr. Mark Burrows, Klinger and Associates. We have pay requests, estimate of funds needed for pay requests, and approval of addition construction inspector.
I actually have a couple more items beyond that, but we'll start there. We're about 5 weeks in on the sewer project. Willis Brothers about 15% done. Manhole folks, Utility Solutions about 10% done. About 2 weeks in, and some of you may have heard it, was that we had a little bit of a mix-up and misunderstanding on the service laterals. And that has been clarified that those are supposed to be done as part of the project. And so I think the ones that went in the first couple of weeks, they're gonna have to go back and do. But since that's been clarified, they've been putting those in, is my understanding, so.
Good.
So I don't know how they got off track on that, but anyway, that's been cleared up. Pay requests, we have 2 this evening. One from Willis Brothers for $313,561.40 that we've reviewed and we recommend approval on. I don't know if there's questions.
And we need to approve these one at a time.
Is that what we had before?
Well, we haven't done any of this before. This is all kind of new to this project.
Yeah, this is the first pay
But-
request.
But we've authorize the pay request, then we request the money from USDA.
Yeah, and I'll get to that after we approve the pay request, and we have to approve ordering the money to pay the pay request.
Right, so we're not gonna have to sit here
Yeah,
at the
it's
table
not out
and
of
come
city
up
coffers,
with
it's
the
through the
cash out of our own
project fund.
pockets tonight.
Right. The process is we approve, mayor signs, we send to USDA, they approve, they sign, they order the money, they transfer the money to the city writes the checks to the contractors. That's the order that it works.
Simple.
Rob Peter to pay Paul.
It's the government. Somebody mentioned, it sounds like the government.
Yeah.
It is.
Don't steal, the government hates competition.
So we need a motion to pay Willis Brothers $313,561.40.
I will make that motion to pay Willis Brothers.
Is there a second?
I'll second. This is all falling in spec with what we agreed to, I'm assuming.
All those in favor of paying Willis Brothers, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. Madam Clerk, I count 6 ayes. No nays, no abstentions. Who's next on the list?
The second one was Utility Solutions, for $40,905 on the manholes, it's contract 3. Manhole rehab work.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to pay that.
thank you, Mr. Winter.
I will second that, Margaret.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. All those in favor of paying $40,905 to Utility Solutions, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign.
We do hold 10% back on retainage all the way through the job on all those contracts, so there'll be quite a large sum of retainage remaining at the end that's not released until you guys sign off on the job, so.
Super duper.
The next item, you have the Klingner invoice before you that has to be approved prior to ordering the funds as well. I don't have that exact number in front of me.
$20,385.30. So the chair would entertain a motion to approve the Klingner's pay.
I'll make a motion to.
Thank you, Mr. Stansberry. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Strange. No further discussion? Oh,
That come out
there's,
of the,
That comes out of the project funds.
project fund also.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
No more questions.
okay. The prosecution arrests. So all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign.
Okay, and then
Klingers to the pay list.
the next item is the estimate of funds. That is basically the funds order to USDA to transfer the funds to you guys to pay all of those bills that we just approved. And that total is $378,241.70.
278, 240.
241.70.
So we need a motion to
Approve that as well.
I so moved.
thank you, Mr. Alberti. Mr. Winter, thank you for that second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that motion, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. For the clerk, 6 ayes, no nays, no abstentions.
Okay, I wanted to request the addition of a construction inspector to the job, not to have more than one person here, but to give us a little bit of flexibility if we need to move a person around here or there. We have 2 approved on it right now, and I would like to add a third. The fellow's name is Josh Hartzog. He's a relatively new employee to us, but he does have some past inspection experience. He's actually a local guy, I believe. His dad works here in town, and he's from Newark, LaBelle area, so.
Says here, he's an assistant engineer with Klinger and Associates.
Yep.
Since
Is
this
he?
year.
Yep.
He has a BS in civil environmental engineering from the University of Missouri Columbia, a member of the Honor Society finalist Phi Theta Kappa. He's also ASCE, WET, GEO, TEC, FCA, CFC club member.
Mark, I thought we approved 3 to start with.
We approved 2, I believe, to start.
2
Out of
plus.
the
Plus
3.
me, I'm not gonna be up
Oh,
here, but in case I
okay.
had to
Yeah,
be up
Mark
here
was
for
on
some
our-
reason.
Okay, you.
It's
I
probably
think
a
that's right,
rarity
you
that
were
I'll ever
one.
be up
But
there
I just wanna see it.
to spend full time
Yeah,
inspection.
does he look like a hard?
Yeah, yeah,
Does
Darwin.
it?
Not the county clerk.
I don't know, that was my guess, but maybe
That
not.
could be Darwin's grandson.
It said his dad or somebody probably works at the farm store.
Yeah.
At the farms, like
Farm
home?
shop.
Or farm shop.
Yeah.
You all figure that one out.
I don't know, anyway, he told me that.
Yeah.
I move that we approve
Joshua.
Joshua Hartsock as the instructor for this job.
Thank you, Mr. Alberti.
I'll second.
Well, thank you, Ms. Kritzheiser. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign.
Okay, the next item, has to do with streets, and it's more of a question, I guess, for you guys. We've been kind of kicking this around. In the specifications, we call for concrete to go back in the trench, as your pavement. And, we primarily did that because we've had very good luck with that in the past. We've got a clean rock backfill, which settles very little. Of course, they're allowing it to, whatever settling to occur right now while they maintain the gravel in the trench. The concrete, typically, we don't find issues with it raveling out, becoming pothole-like, and rutting out. The concerns kind of come up with, I think, with Ty and some of your staff, and even with the contractor a little bit. When we're cutting those streets, you don't have very good pavement to pour back against on that. And so it gets a raggedy edge, and, you know, it doesn't make for an even seam there. Now, one of the things we can make them do, and it's actually in the construction drawings, is when they come back through and they do that pavement, they're actually supposed to overcut that area a little bit on the sides, fresh, before they pave it, so that it's a clean seam. But with some of the streets you have, I mean, they're not much more than gravel in some areas. And so, the contractor actually brought it up, and I see pluses and minuses, both sides of it. But they mentioned something about putting asphalt in it and then chip and seal it over it afterwards. My personal opinion is I think that you'll be chasing ruts and potholes in that trench forever if you do that. However, with concrete, the downside is if everything around it crumbles, and you got a trench down the road, you get hit with a snowplow, other blading equipment, you know.
Probably won't move.
It's a problem either way, I guess. So I just kinda wanted to get a little feedback from you guys, whether you wanted to continue with the plan for concrete, or whether you wanted to change the plan. And feel free to jump in, Ty and whoever else. We've had this discussion a little bit, and they see pluses and minuses to both too. So, we have the opportunity to change it if we want to. If we don't, that's fine. But I know the contractor wanted us to bring it up, and I'll bring it.
Has any of those guys done both and seen a reason not to go with one or the other?
Willis has done the asphalt before, and then another community did the asphalt, and I wasn't happy with the end product. And he came back and addressed it, and then it still settled some more, and he came back and addressed it. It looked like a patch on patch on patch, and that was with asphalt. I've seen it with other contractors, it's the same thing. The trench, you know, your street, I think, has less likelihood of settling than the trench itself. But again, you know, your streets are in poor condition to the point where some places, there's not any pavement anymore, so where do you stop?
So with the asphalt, Mark, are you gonna make them just, chip and seal over top of the trench, or are they gonna go from shoulder to shoulder so it's one consecutive seal? So it would have a less likely of getting water underneath of it in between the trench and the existing asphalt? Well, I mean, what do they want to do with that?
You know, we have not had that discussion on exactly how much of the chip and seal they're talking about.
And then how much asphalt, do you have a recommendation as far as how deep the asphalt's
Yeah,
gonna
the
be in
asphalt
trench?
would be 5-6 inches thick.
Okay.
So what have they done in the past? Have they done just the patch area, or have they done side to side like Mike says?
I've just seen in the past area that they've done the asphalt patch and the lawn. They mentioned chip and sealing over, but I've never seen that done. My thing is this, is if the trench, if you do the asphalt and then you chip and seal over it, the trench fails, it's still gonna look like, you're still gonna see the trench. You're still gonna see it, and the trench, the chip and seal is gonna do nothing structurally for the trench at all. The only thing it might do is help glue the edges, the raggedy edges together, cover up the raggedy. If you don't care whether the edge is somewhat uneven, you're more worried about, maybe that's the best section of pavement on the entire street is where the trench is, then I wouldn't change it. I don't know what you all have planned for streets, or if you have anything planned at some point, because I don't know what your funding looks like with that, but, you know, I'm sure that's a challenge that you guys are looking at outside of this project, so.
That's my take on it. I mean, like I said, there's pluses and minuses of both. I mean, just like Mark said, I mean, I like the concrete for the not settling fact. And if you
Then
plan
when
on
we go
going in
to
and
lay
paving
the
some of
street out,
those in the
it'll
next
be
year or two,
concrete.
if you're gonna pave right over the top of it, you'll take care of the seam of the water getting underneath it or anything. But if not, like I say, my concern is the street within a foot of the concrete is gonna erode away or crack, and it'll peel it up, and you're gonna have a slab of concrete sticking up a little bit. So, it's a toss up either way. I mean, like I said,
Does it make any difference on the sewer underneath if it's concrete or
no,
asphalt?
that won't affect it at all.
No.
It's all rock around it.
It's more how you want your streets to look and function afterwards, like he said, if you're gonna come back over it. I mean, now, I have not seen the concrete be left high.
Right. Well, and I don't want, yeah, maybe I don't want to rephrase this, saying it's gonna get left high, but if the street erodes away, the water gets between the seal between the asphalt and the concrete, and the water gets under the asphalt, it's just gonna chew the asphalt away, and you're gonna have patches.
I haven't seen too much of that of a problem in other
Right.
communities, though.
But a lot of streets might be better shape.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
And there's a few areas that even if you stick with the concrete, there's a few areas I don't even know if it'll work.
Yeah.
One of them, for instance, is Kelly's Street, the dead end street over there by Kelly's house. That's one that is a major concern. There's no seam to tie it. I mean, that street's almost gonna become gravel, the whole thing.
It almost already is.
Right.
So if you do the concrete, and we've got that overlay machine, right? You overlay over the concrete?
Yeah, you can overlay over it.
Will
Yeah,
that
that's-
not be a problem?
Right. Because the concrete will be level with the street.
But the asphalt will stick to it.
Yeah, it'll lay
you
down
put
on
a
top of it.
tack oil down
Yeah,
anyway.
you'll drop the oil down on top of that. and
So
then
that's
you'll-
not a problem.
No.
Just
If-
the edges where the blacktop meets
Right.
the concrete.
Yeah. Until you do
I mean,
that.
if it's gonna be 2 or 3, 4 years before you plan on paving it, which I don't know. You know, there's gonna be a good slab of concrete, and then the road off the side of it is gonna be gone. It's just gonna crumble.
But if the manholes, the new ones, are level with the concrete, we're not gonna overlay on top of them, right?
No, you can put drop-in risers on them and raise them up.
Some of the problems, the reason that they've done some of those, Rick, to address that, what they've done is over the years, when they've paved those streets so many times, they've put risers in there. So now they're going back and they're actually putting concrete castings in there to eliminate those metal risers that Mark's talking about that we drop in when we pave. We've actually got a
Bringing
pallets
everything up
of
to
them
grade to
down
start.
there that if we pave a street, we mark the manhole, raise it up, and then pave the street to the new height.
Some of those have been just buried in the past too, and they're several inches down. I don't think we're gonna be paving anytime soon yet, but, you know, we probably need to make a decision. Right now it says concrete. And if we wanna change it, I would say, if we don't do it at this meeting, we probably need to have a decision at the next meeting, just so that we're out ahead of it. I just know that, I don't, again, it kinda factors into what you guys are gonna do with streets down the road. Ty has a legitimate concern with some of the edge. I think if we were to saw off the top, just the top portion, clean before we do pave it, I think it would help, in some of those, but in the gravel streets, putting concrete in is not gonna help you at all. It'll just fall apart because everything around it is mush. So, but if you got a decent enough street, I don't wanna see you put asphalt back in, because you'll forever see that trench, forever. I can tell you that from the back.
Cost-wise, Mark, I mean, it's not a whole lot different either way, right?
No.
Right.
No.
I mean, just so that's wondering.
So it sounds to me like with your recommendation is staying with concrete, is that correct?
For the good streets.
Yeah, with the gravel, you know, or the pavement that's in such poor conditions like gravel, it's so wet. I don't know that you can put asphalt back in. I don't know if I have an answer on those yet. There's not a lot of them, but there's a few of them that we've encountered so far.
Well, is this something where we're just gonna have to identify them
Yeah.
street by street?
Well, but I don't think you can, I don't think they're gonna bounce around and do asphalt on one, concrete on one. It's either asphalt on them or
So
concrete.
all are done.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a pick and choose.
It's a whole different set of equipment.
Right.
Oh,
Because if they've gotta do asphalt or chip and seal, they gotta bring equipment in for that, and now there's a cost of that that they don't have a cost for. I mean, I guess my opinion would be we stay with concrete, but on some of these other streets, we reevaluate, we bring those specifically, reevaluate what we wanna do before we do it. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
You put
Well-
regrot in the cement,
What's that?
put reinforcement in the cement.
Typically not, we go 6 inches thick, and we have them cross-cut it ever so often, just so it has a construction joint. Concrete always cracks, but I've got some that have been in, down in Perry, 8 or 9 years now, and it looks about as good as the day they poured it, so. They had asphalt streets. Anyway, do you want me to move on, or do you wanna wait, or do you wanna make a decision?
What do you
It's
think?
your guys' call.
Yeah, it's up to you. Like I said, I could see benefits and pros and cons of both. I mean, just
Either
like you
one,
said,
huh?
I mean, I have no doubt the asphalt will settle.
Mark's recommendation, the asphalt will settle in the good.
Well, yeah, and it will. I mean, for instance, you can go down to Co-op and look at the line we put in, 3 years ago? And you can follow the ditch where we laid that. I mean, that's
So
been,
that's Waller did.
and we paved over top of it. I mean, the asphalt will settle. But like I said, the perks of the asphalt is it's one seal. That's my concern with the concrete. But like I said, the concrete, you shouldn't have any settling. It'll be nice and level. So, I'm good with either one. It's just something you guys ought to, so you're aware.
Where we do the concrete, you say we're gonna straighten that cut up on either side and do the
Straighten the
concrete?
joint up, yeah. Got to.
Where there is good pavement.
Yeah, well, as best as we can find, yeah. Without going across the whole street, they're not gonna wanna do that.
So you're gonna set a boundary as far as in like, cut a straight edge with the exception of no more than a foot off of the trench side or
Right.
something like that?
Right.
Okay.
Just string it and straighten it.
One guy's using a street saw and another guy's using a tooth saw. The guy that's using the tooth saw is having a little more difficulty than the
Well,
other
and
guy.
they've both started using the two saw, but
Yeah, so, that's part of it.
it's a lot faster.
Contract calls for concrete, I suggest we just leave
He's
it
the
alone.
expert, that's his
Yeah, let's just leave
recommendation,
it
in my
alone,
opinion.
move on.
What do you think?
Sounds like a good solution to me, but I guess if there are some gravel
I
streets
think where there's a
that
few we're
maybe
gonna
we
have to
need
look at it, it's something different,
then maybe we better not.
but there's
Maybe
not a
we ought to
whole lot of those.
specifically identify them,
I would
like
rather
you
do
say.
that.
I like your.
Would you agree with that, Ty?
Yeah, and then that's my question, like, there's some we don't put concrete in now. Do they just budget for a certain amount of concrete? I mean, I don't wanna pay for a street that's supposed to have concrete and then just be gravel.
We'll have to negotiate those separately.
Okay, okay. But yeah, that's, cause some of them, I just don't think it's really, I think it's more hassle for everybody than it's gonna be worth. I don't think it'll ever stay or have problems.
Well, that gives me some direction. The next item, not to monopolize your whole meeting, is MoDOT permits. Finally have those straightened out with MoDOT. Anytime you work in MoDOT right away, you have to have a permit from them to do that work. And they require certain traffic control procedures, particularly if you're gonna have any lane drops or detours, or you're gonna be out in the lane, you gotta have flagman signage, that kind of stuff. So we've been working with MoDOT. We did have a detour in there for some work that we were gonna do on Route 15 with the replacement section, but that detour has since gone away because the contractor's looking at doing what they call a pipe bursting operation, where they won't actually dig the main up, they will go through and they will pipe burst. In other words, they will basically destroy the pipe in the tunnel it's in and pull a new pipe through between manholes. And so they don't have to cut the pavement, make a big excavation, and have the highway shut down for 2 weeks. So
Super.
we have some work we're doing on Route 6 with manholes. So there's a permit associated with that with Utility Solutions. And that just requires some signage and some channelizers and a flagman if they have a lane drop. And we have some work on Route 15 where we're doing the pipe bursting, and that'll probably take less than a week according to your contractor. Where we have some signage, again, a lane drop, some flagmen and some channelizers. And then we have some work on where Route P comes out. And what MoDOT has suggested is that we just close Route P, that section of Route P where we're doing replacement, because there's not much traffic on it, and allow that traffic to use one of your other city streets over in that area to get to Route 15 or 6, depending on whether they're going north or south. I don't see a problem with that, because it's not a high daily volume on Route P, certainly not like it is on 6 or 15, and they're fine with that. But they wanted a letter from you guys stating that that was okay with you, that, and again, you're probably talking a week or two at the most for that particular section on Route P.
But we got locates on today, so they're not very
Well, the
far
people
off.
that live there,
They'll still have local access.
okay.
But through traffic from out of
Right.
town, we'll have to use one of the side streets, and MoDOT wants a letter from the city saying that's okay.
Could you
So we're not
provide a
gonna
letter
get P all the way
I
out
grabbed
where
it.
the city streets.
They'll close it at Tom Morgan's house is where they'll close it. It'll send them down Marion Street.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Right across the speed bump and then.
Right down through Melissa's.
Right over the
And
speed bump.
the southbound traffic will be, well, yeah, they're basically going from,
There'll be some
Joe's
signage
house.
over there, and some barricades. So what we need to do is approve the permits and authorize the mayor to send such a letter. And I did draft that letter.
Yeah, you
basically.
did, and I was to have it ready for him to sign, and
That's okay.
Most of the people that go out on P and come in on P probably go that route anyway.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, most of them take Marion anyway.
So,
I moved, so moved.
I would second that.
Okay, for all of
With
the.
respect to the
all
permits and the
permits
letter.
and the letter for the mayor.
Yeah.
You just need to slow them down somehow.
So that detour mark that they had proposed, will that ever be a possibility again if this pipe burst doesn't work, or?
If the pipe burst doesn't work, we'll have to have that conversation all over again.
That's what, we had some concerns with.
Cause that was all predicated on that.
Right, that was we had some concern with that detour, if it was gonna be a possibility or not.
Right now, it doesn't look like a possibility, but if
Okay.
it is, we'll have to readdress it, change the permit, so.
Yeah.
And come back here and get approval. The last item I had on my list was, we,
I gotta wait for,
Got one there.
okay, you want me to wait?
Yeah, that'd be good.
if you don't mind.
Talking so long, people are getting
Right.
Well, we
Some
just
people
voted
have
on
to.
the motion.
Right, yeah, you made the motion, we have to go, I didn't hear the second
There
anyway.
was a second.
Oh,
Rick
that was
seconded.
you, Rick, okay, and then we had a vote, but now we're all here.
Now we're, so, yeah, we're voting on the motion to,
Authorize the mayor to sign all the MoDOT permits.
authorize the mayor to sign all the MoDOT permits and to, do the letter for the detour.
Detour on Route P.
On Route P. Okay, so we all know what we're voting on. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. Madam Clerk, 6 ayes, no nays, no abstentions. And back to Mr. Gross.
Okay, last thing, I promise. Earlier this year, or either late last year, you guys had us do some design work for Purcell Street sewer. And what that was is we were going to eliminate the Bryant Street lift station and the Broadway lift station and take a gravity sewer to one new lift station over on Purcell Street, whatever that business is down there, and then pump back up Bryant. To alleviate, basically, get rid of 2 lift stations and fix an issue with gravity sewer, getting pretty shallow over there on Broadway, so. We have that already, and the way we were going to look at paying for that was, is when you got reimbursed back for your engineering fees that you'd already raised money and paid for, you were going to look at expending those to complete the project. And so I guess my question is we don't have any DNR construction permits that we need for that. It falls under the limits that they have now for permits, which is, it's less than 1,000 feet of gravity sewer, and it's less than 2 lift stations, and so we don't need their approval.
Super.
My question is if you wanted to go ahead and pursue putting that out to bids, or you wanna hold on to that for a while?
I think we should pursue it immediately, personally. Cause that's one of the major trouble spots that kind of started this whole.
And we took those 2 lift stations out of the project so that, cause we knew this was in the works, so.
Well, good. I'd
We
hate
weren't,
to put
we
a
weren't
new
gonna
lift
spend
station-
any money
Yeah.
in the project on the 2 lift stations we're gonna get rid of, so.
Well, good. No, the chair would entertain a motion to proceed immediately with that project. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rick Winter and Delbert. Is there any further discussion on that? Well, all those in favor?
Have we got money apparently?
You got, what, how much did you get back from 165 or something like that?
Yeah, the money that we got back, we had already expended, and then we got it back out of this
You,
project.
Yeah, but
unrestricted.
did we use that to do something else?
No.
With the project?
I certainly hope not.
We
We're planning
We
on.
got we're gonna get reimbursed that, I think.
You already did.
We had it out there and we got it back.
Peggy would know for sure on that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we currently,
So what's the
here,
answer,
put it
Peggy?
in money market because we had that cash.
Should you hear the question?
Sorry.
The money
It was
that we
in
got
regard to the
reimbursed.
funds that we had already expended, and then we received them back on our sewer project.
Okay.
And And Bill was wondering whether or not those funds were really there and available.
They are there, they are available. I don't have any idea how much you're talking about the cost of this project being, Mark.
130 to 140,000. I think you got like 165 or something back. I can't remember what it was.
And we're okay to go in, put that.
Yes, sir.
They're your funds. USDA doesn't have any restrictions on it. So you paid them to begin with. So.
You'd already taken that out of our own funds before we ever.
Right.
We paid that during the period of time that the project got started later than was anticipated, because we were expecting things to start, well, at least a year earlier. And so in the meantime, we had those funds that we would have been paying bond money, so that's where it came from.
You've had time to accumulate some more funds, because you're not paying a loan repayment yet.
Might as well fix it all while we're fixing it.
You bet. Especially that part. So, all those in favor of that, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All those abstaining, same sign. And clerk, I count 6 ayes, no nays, no abstentions.
Okay, we'll get with Margaret and your staff on a bid opening date. So,
Super.
get that set up and get it advertised. Probably look to award at your October meeting is what my guess would be. Get our bids back and everything before then.
Okay.
All right. Do y'all have any questions for me?
I do not.
I think your contractors are doing a pretty good job. I don't know, you're probably gonna get to the point where you'll start getting some complaints from residents and, you know, streets and things. I mean, that always happens with this. Everything's great, and then everything kinda, well, now we're getting along, and then people get sick of construction, and just be patient.
The weather doesn't bother them
Unless it's pouring down rain, they're
Abnormal.
usually digging, yeah. They've had some half days, but not too
What
bad.
I've seen, I think they're doing a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Thank you.
Till we meet again.
Since they've been doing my street and I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I signed.
I can still get to work.
That's good.
Mine's done, it's bad.
Yeah, I signed.
But I'm not complaining.
I've
Gotta
got
get more, get better.
I had Barney parked in front of my house for a long time.
He would have
Barney.
signed off the look and
Okay.
see if you're back.
Oh, I'll do that.
You were laughing at something earlier. I thought, what was he laughing at?
When tonight?
Yeah.
Martin's the verbal dinosaur.
Yeah, have you not seen
Oh,
Barney?
something I said.
Have you seen that? Have you seen it?
What is it?
Quick to find us out.
I've seen it with kids in the cartoon. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. No, just right out north of town, north of Dot's house. on the street.
Yeah, Barney's been parked in front of my house for.
Something
It's a-
happened that I
it's a
wasn't
dirt
aware
machine,
of,
but-
which,
yeah.
a lot of stuff happens.
It says Barney in the back.
Cardwell's got one out there.
Oh, no, I.
Oh, and he's here with Regina, I think. And she's- Well, moving along, how about, well, it looks like they're all having a huddle up there, the department heads, except for Kelly Hayes, so we'll.
Last meeting we addressed yards, some of those got mowed, those need mowed again.
Elders has not been moved yet.
I talked to him today, he'll have it this weekend.
Good.
Promised me he'd do it this weekend. Sent 15 letters out today on different ones, tickets, another ticket to one. Some of those were, I mean, I'd say they're 8, 9 inches, or I mean, right at the 8-inch height. But
Yeah.
by the time they get the letter, get to it, it's time to do it. So, a few of the cleanup things I'm kind of working with. My dump trailer is going to help with one. I'm loading my dump trailer to help with one, so.
Oh, really?
So we're gonna
God bless you.
get some stuff taken care of, so. Other than that, things are going pretty good.
Knock on wood.
Good. The, talking about, like, say, I've sat over there a few times and I don't notice the traffic that she's talking about, but I'm not there at 7 o'clock in the morning and at 6 o'clock at night when she's talking either, but I can make sure somebody is.
I was thinking you have one of the other
Absolutely.
officers, maybe you
Absolutely.
try it to be nice.
Absolutely, you know.
Her,
Mike's right there too, it's his road, so he'll do it.
Mike type.
oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just sitting there
I looked at
like-
Mike and
He can kinda sit right there in his drive and watch people and think anything of it, so.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll have him kind of watch that during the middle of the week, so I'll come out when school starts and I'll come out and watch it a few days and go from there. So, yeah, I'm doing nothing. You guys got anything for me?
Don't think so. Keep on keeping on.
All right.
Thank you, Kelly.
Oh, Ty, are you ready for your report?
About the same as last month, I guess. So the project's rolling. Try to keep up to those guys and locates.
Thanks, Peggy.
We did get our new employee started.
You getting along with him?
Yeah, I think we're along pretty good. I mean, he seems to be, I've kind of turned him loose on it. I mean, you know, with,
I think he's the kind of guy you can turn loose.
yeah,
he's worked here before.
well, and I mean, he pretty well, he can take care of things on his own. I don't have to, watch over what he does and this and that, but, we've got a few complaints about trash. He's kind of changed the route up. He didn't know the route. Brian still didn't have it worked out, so they've just been running back and forth, saving, turning on the streets, they're just running straight lines and picking up what they get. And I know they've missed some here or there, so if you get complaints, we're working on it.
Well, yeah, anything we can do to save our poor
Right.
streets from the ravages of the garbage truck.
Right. We did have to put 2 new tires on one side. You've probably seen that bill, or I don't know if them or not. I ran over, I found a 1/2-inch bolt in one dual.
Oh, no.
We tried to patch it and it wasn't holding there very long, so rather than blowing it out on the way to Bevere, we just went in and put 2 new tires on. Like I said, other than that, I just, I don't know, it's been busy. We got the spot patched, down there by the barn. It washed out again, but I think the big rock held. I mean, it didn't wash eat into the road. So, there's still streets and alleys and driveways and different things that I know it's washed out, we're still trying to get to.
How's our new truck?
It's good, we haven't got to try it, I've got to,
I wanna see that new truck sometime.
come on down.
We did get it picked up.
Yeah, I did
Oh,
get the
yeah.
truck picked up.
It's in the paper this week.
Yeah, I said, it'll
Oh,
it'll be in the
good.
paper. It's nice, it's really
Cool.
nice.
The picture's really cool too.
I can do that, I can bring it
Let's
up.
drive her down.
Yeah, it's nice.
Do you wanna go for a ride? You should let him,
Truck.
I wanna drive, I don't wanna
Yeah,
ride.
it's an
It's nothing special.
06 with, 80-some thousand on it, I
Now
mean,
Renee, I want a joyride, right, Renee?
all kinds of life in
I
a thing,
wanna
you know?
ride. I'm driving.
You're driving, I'm riding.
We're gonna raise you up in the boom and shut the truck off.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think,
no.
I think
No,
those-
I do have a pair of heights on the.
we got David Hardwick come give us a little demo on the do's and the don'ts and
Oh, good.
insides and outs, so
Are you
it's
sure
really
you can
nice.
trust him to tell you that?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
David?
Yeah.
So we got some plans for it. We got some tree trim that needs done pretty bad and we get to it. So,
Super.
yeah.
I do have one question.
Mhm.
My brush didn't get picked up Wednesday.
We'll
Is
get-
that because of the construction that was in front of my house on the sewer?
It could have been part of it. Part of it was we just didn't get to
Skid
it
loader
all.
broke down.
The
Okay.
skid loader, we had issues with the skid
No,
loader
I
that day.
just
It
didn't
broke
want
down
you
and we had to
to
get some
forget me
parts.
altogether.
I've seen a
No,
dump
we
truck
haven't.
out there all week. A
What?
dump truck out there all week.
I should have thrown it in.
Throw it in there for you.
That
Yeah, any
that
of
would be a
those-
photo for the.
Any of those
second
piles you
one.
got, just call us and remind us we get to know. I mean, because, those
I thought
guys,
it was a
those guys
sewer
kind of mark them as they go
construction.
around the trash, but there's several piles that are still out.
Mhm.
But like I said, the skid loader broke down and that was about a 2-hour delay that day trying to get everything fixed on it. So, probably be Wednesday again, we'll jump back on that and try and get them rounded up again.
he started a video on our website too, changing out the valve for the water main. I don't know if you guys saw that. Turned out pretty cool.
I saw it.
It was cool, right?
It was very, very neat, very informative, very entertaining. Our crew looked very professional. So that was excellent.
There is some mowing on, Smallwood Street, Sickle Lower, you guys usually do
Yeah,
that.
that's on the to-do. Okay, we wanted to get it done before 4th of July, but ain't got there yet either.
I think.
It all needs done. The whole town needs run over again. It really does.
Still growing.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Grass
that's
and
it.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
A
on
good year for weeds.
Yeah.
It's been a good year for everything growing. I don't know, I can't, like I said, think of anything else. That's what you got.
You gonna bring up my deal?
Oh, sorry, Jeff. Jeff Doss approached me a week ago, week and a half ago, with a water issue at his funeral home. The water's coming across the road from the community center and washing down to get in his basement. I don't know if it's something you guys need to look at, see what you wanna do, or I don't know what Jeff wants to propose to do. I mean,
I don't wanna propose anything, I let you guys, it's not my deal. Right across, and I'll pass these around, right across from, in front of the community center, when they put that sidewalk and the, curb in, they raised it almost 2 feet, which made it higher than the street. And, the water runs down, and it's, I know we've had some big rains, but if it rains very long, even if we don't have a big rain, if it rains very long, that side fills up, comes across, goes right in my north drive, across the grass, down across, and you can see the curb and how high it is compared to the street. It runs right down across here, and it's washed all this out down here. It has, and runs in this back parking lot. And you can see how much it was raised because there's a bottom step here on the sidewalk. And when they put this curb in, they put it so much higher than the old curb that they buried one step. And that step was higher than the old curb, and then the curb is 6 or 8 inches deep, and that step's 9 inches. So they raised that whole side of the street about 16, 18 inches. And it was an issue at the time, it was, what would happen. It didn't get really bad, it did come across several times back then, but when they put the sidewalk in, they changed the end of it down there at the corner, and they put a smaller entrance in to drain the water, which backs it up even more on that side.
So you're saying this drain right here isn't taking all the water?
No, and the funny thing is, right here in the street is higher than about 30 feet back. So this water comes down here and cuts across the street here. It does. And that curb all the way down through there is higher than the street. I think Mike can probably talk about this. The water runs down the street and not in the curb. It does.
Yeah. I was always gonna suggest we throw some pavement in there, but it might not be a good idea now.
Well, they put a bunch of pavement in there, haven't you, already?
You know, I know that,
When they first did it,
I don't think it was raised 18 inches, but I do know it was raised 8 to 10 inches maybe, but I don't know about the 18 inches.
the step is 9 inches, and that bottom step, and then it came out to the top of that curb, and then they tore that curb out and put the new curb in and poured that concrete back from that curb. So it took it clear over, and you can see the step's level.
Well, I know there were some issues on the correct, benchmarks used for the, and it wasn't our money, we didn't pay for the deal, and we didn't have the inspect, you know, I mean, it was kind of a.
But you did stop them at one time and say, hey, you guys are way too high. And then they decided.
Actually.
Because I think even Jason was involved in that.
I think we removed a couple pieces and kind of met in the middle, so we didn't have to take out the whole thing, didn't we?
Well, you took 2 pieces out and they used them around the corner, but they continued that slope all the way down through there, and like I say, they, you know, at one time, there was quite a volume over on that one side to hold water and drain it, you know, over time. But now it's so high, it just comes straight across the street, and it doesn't even come to the corner, it comes down and cuts across right at my north driveway, which is right a ways back. And my thing is, I hate to do is, my side is low, and if we put, at the time, the recommendation was just to add a foot of blacktop in the middle of the road, and that'll take care of that. But if you do that, on my side, it makes mine come out of there like a ramp out of there. I don't know what it is to fix. I mean, the only way that I can do anything to keep it from coming on me is stand back the center of the street, but I don't think we wanna do that. I don't.
Where does this drain end up?
That drain goes across the street to this drain and goes right on down here and comes out right down there. And it carries a full stream through here and all the way down to here. But this water is running across all the way down this street, across this area here, washing it out and into that parking lot, because all the water, every bit of the water on the square goes from the water tower all the way around to that one drain. There's no other drain on the entire square. There is. Every bit of the water either comes down, I don't know what that street is, the water tower's on.
Main.
So do you feel like maybe a different drain or something up towards, at the intersection of Lucky's and the courthouse and the community center to divert some of the I think most of the water's coming off of the parking lot and off the building and down that street. And I think all that water, like right now, all the water that's come off their parking lot has washed the gravel out of their flowers out in the street. And I think they're waiting on the city to come back and fix that. But it washed it all out, and all that water is past that corner already. But they sloped all that parking lot to the east, which comes across and comes out on that road there. So I don't know what there used to be a bigger, when you put it in, there was a bigger grate there.
No, there wasn't. I built that grate, and it's actually 4 inches longer than the one that was there.
But then they took it out.
No, I put that one in. I put it in myself.
They took it out and they put a new sidewalk in there and they split it. And half of it goes up toward the water tower and half of it comes back toward the community center, and it's.
I know the grate that when we first did that, the one that I put in there was twice the size of the grate that was there.
They split it when they did the little sidewalk project.
Yeah, that's right. They split it and they made it like, instead of 16-inch like you had it, I think they went down to 12-inch. And went back to the.
Was there a problem, did the problem start when we first did or was it better back then? Do we just need to adjust?
It was a little better back then, but it still came across, and what it does is it fills my back parking lot and eventually runs in my basement. It does. Unless we wanna.
Tie with a culvert going from the southeast corner of the community center straight across to the old lumber yard.
I don't think it hurt anything.
We tried to get them to do that when we did the curves.
And I don't think
But
there was a
a
hurt.
huge phone line right there, cause I can remember when Alan dug out a piece of that curve for us, there was a big pair of phone line that he barely nicked with his bucket and never hurt it. It was right in the way, and I think that's part of the reason why they decided not to do it.
And most of that water, again, comes off right after that corner. Because that parking lot, probably should have went out the south driveway, the water should have. And they sloped it to the east, so it runs to the east side of the parking lot and through the gravel, across the sidewalk and out. And like I say, it's washed out right now, but if you walk up the sidewalk, there's about, 3 or 4 inches of gravel on top of the sidewalk. You could put a tube across, I guess, going north down there at that deal, but I'd hate to be the people that live on down that street, to divert the water.
Grade. I don't think grade would work.
Put a tube across it.
Yeah, but by the time it's close on it, how far I have to go before it drops.
No, I'd still hate the people down there.
Well, it would just.
That's what I mean.
It would stop the water that's coming. But it would stop,
Take
it would
get
take
rid
the
of a lot
water
of water.
from coming around the west side.
From the other part of the square, not
Because
the
like I
parking
said,
lot itself.
that is graded to drain. It starts at the water tower, the northwest corner of the block.
Right.
Goes south, then go back east along the courthouse, and then back north again.
Oh, my.
I mean,
Goes all the way
that
around.
grate,
It
runs
makes
all in a
three-
square, drains in that one corner.
That's why we tried to get them to put a drain right there and shoot it.
If you had a drain in the southeast corner, you could knock out 2 blocks,
Knock off half the water.
but you're still gonna have what's.
But like all the water from the school south, the back side of the 4-H building, all comes down and runs onto the parking lot. And then the parking lot all runs off east across there, and then all the water off the building on the east side comes off that east side. It does. Very little water goes on the other side of the Sentinel office. It's just what falls in the street runs down through there. After it turns the corner and goes on down and gets past the driveway for the community center is when all that block of water starts accumulating, because it all drains to the east. It does. You would get a little bit of relief right there at the corner, but I'm gonna say that I would think 2/3 of the water coming off that block is still coming off the east side.
I think you should appoint a committee, Ron Stansberry and Double Springs, and Ty to meet with Mr. Dawes and representatives from the community center to discuss and explore possibilities. But we're not gonna decide anything tonight.
No, I didn't ask
I mean,
anybody.
do you have an issue with ditching
this? There's a tube that runs down under that all the way. I mean, it's carrying all the water from the grate right now.
It's not carrying any of the water that crosses the street above the tube.
Yeah, this one,
If there's water running through here,
this one over here runs across, this one fills up, and because that one's already full, then it runs down through here. This tube runs all the way down to right here, and it runs full stream.
how deep is that? Does anybody know?
3 feet
The
maybe.
tube? Yeah, it's not over that.
Over 3 feet. But it carries a full tube of water when it's running. It's as big as it can go.
It would help if that was a ditch.
But it would make the ditch go right to my parking lot behind the deal. It would. That's why I'm trying to get it out away from me and where it should go, rather than putting it on my property.
Can we put a tube crossways from the northeast corner of the community center to Doris Stone's house and run down that street?
There's already one over there.
Come back across.
I don't
You
think
come
the
back
elevation
across
will
anyway,
work.
cause there's no tubes going down through there. It gets to the alley and come back across in my parking lot.
It gets the alley, so there's no tube there at the alley.
Well,
Take it on down.
Not that big.
There's, the water starts at Stone's house on the corner.
Uh-huh.
The only tube there would be her driveway. So saying, I don't know if it would hold.
Everything's sloped
It would
towards
probably, but
Dawes.
I don't think you get one in elevation wise anyway. From the community center go north, I don't think the grade is where I think you'd be trying to run uphill. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you'd have to shoot it, but from just eyeballing it, I don't think you'd get one in there. You'd have to run it downhill.
You say running it north?
Right.
No, I'm saying Canning Wampus.
I
right
know,
on
northeast either way. I don't
Northeast.
think grade wise it would work.
Okay.
I mean, unless you run it down to about her driveway.
And there's
You don't-
already one coming across there from the west.
By the old Ameren building, correct?
By the bus garage. There's one coming from the bus garage across to her corner right there to go down that street. There it is. And it drains the other half of that street and the water off the bus garage.
So from the road to your basement, everything slopes towards your basement, is that what you're saying?
No, they actually, my back parking lot and the alley are almost the same level. My floor in the basement is 6 inches above the alley.
Okay.
So the water comes down the street because it can't go down, it won't hold it up there. It comes down, it filled my back parking lot. The tube going under the alley isn't big enough to carry all that. So it pools in my back deal and it's running over the alley 6 inches deep before it starts coming in my basement. So the alley is overflowing.
What if we put a bigger tube in the alley and
This
slope
is
it
right
away
there.
from?
I'm just
towards
trying to get the
ditch?
water off of me. I mean, that's all I'm trying to do.
Getting it off of my hard, we can get it out of there.
Well, if we take and dig out over there where that corner is, where it used to be, I think it would take care of a lot of problems.
I think it just pump over there for,
But it would take a while to drain out, which is what most of the streets are. They take a while to drain down after rain. But it's just causing a huge problem for me. It's been in my basement, it was in the basement the other day again. I had to get carpets dried out and everything. And like I say, it's coming, the water off of that street in front of me coming across. It isn't what that tube carries, it's what's coming across. It is.
Okey dokey. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. We'll see what we can find out for a solution. Anything else for Ty at this point?
I've got some things that need to look at. The old city barn, it's an eyesore. And you ever by there, weeds, grass, it's an eyesore. And Piccadilly, I asked back there in June, I asked Margaret a couple times, the north driveway got about 4 or 5 inches of drop off.
But isn't that actually their driveway?
We've always fixed it.
I don't step on toes, Delmer, but you've always fixed it. It's their driveway. I mean,
We've always fixed it before.
you've always fixed it before.
Huh?
And I understand that. You and David have always fixed it before, but
Okay,
never
well,
at the
you
order
guys-
of the city.
What's wrong with you guys fixing it? What did
It's
they-
not our driveway. It's their driveway. If we fix their driveway, we gotta fix everybody's driveway in town. I see the lip. I know what you're talking about, but it's not our responsibility. That's a private driveway. That's no different than me going down and putting rock in Ron Stansbury's driveway, or Renee's. I mean, it's a private driveway. If Piccadilly's wants to call and say, hey, can you put a rock in there? We'll put the rock in there and we'll bill them for it. But they can't donate them the rock to put on there. I don't feel it's not my job to do it. Now, if you all tell me, hey, go put that on there, we'll do it in the rock, I'll do it. But it's a private driveway.
I think it needs to be fixed.
Where's this at?
Has Piccadilly ever
Piccadilly's
called
north
you
driveway.
about it?
The old city barn needs attention.
Steve sprayed everything down there
2 days ago.
2 days ago, Friday.
We should have changed the name of that place to something smaller than Piccadilly. Like B&D or something.
It's called a BT.
And the tubes that we put in down there at the sale barn, on the north end, it's gonna be washed out in the street beneath big rock in there and down at the south end.
Where's all that water come from?
What's that?
What comes from
It
it?
washes down.
Sail barn?
Yeah.
That culvert we put in at the bottom that goes into the Sailborn property
South end you're talking about?
on the south end.
Mhm.
There's water always running down across that. Is that just from their lot?
You're talking about the lower driveway, the little short tube? Yeah, it comes off their lot and washes that bottom end out.
Because I thought that's why we put the
The
tube
north
up
end.
front, was to alleviate that problem.
Yeah.
North end is getting a real big washout. It's gonna be out in the street.
And I haven't seen that. That one, I have no problem putting some rock in there.
I think the city should fix that driveway. If they're fixing it, it don't cost us much to take it on good.
Is it the street or the driveway?
It's their driveway. See, it was always my understanding, the city won't allow you to pour concrete over top of a culvert. So there's about a 4 or 5 foot area between Piccadilly's concrete drive and the street. That's where the culvert was put in.
Same as what I've got.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't let you pour concrete asphalt over your drive, right? I mean, you lay asphalt, but you're not supposed to pour concrete over a tube, because we have to replace it, it's a pain to dig it out. And it's that 4 foot stretch right there, but it's where the gravel meets the concrete, there's a lip. But I mean, it's a private driveway.
Well, if that's the case, I think the city ought to fix it for them if they won't let them run concrete on that there. Don't take that much rock.
Because we got everybody in town that wants their driveway fixed. I would like mine
They
fixed.
just need to ask, they just need to ask, we'll do it and we'll bill them, just like we do anybody else. For the,
I guess I've cost the city a lot of money, because I done it for years.
What'd you say, Ron? I missed.
They used to do mine too, but they don't anymore. The expense to me. got into this with Alan Fiedler. I thought the city did that. I thought because you can't put concrete down there, then the city fixes it because they told me not to use concrete. Well, Alan, when he was in town, wanted to know if he could do that. And I said, well, I think the city will do that for you, which I should have asked for. Come to find out, they don't.
I think the way that it's written is that you can put concrete there, but the city does not accept any responsibility. If they have to dig it up or this culvert to put a new culvert in for you, you have to put the concrete back, because at the house right across from Davy's house, they've got concrete all the way to the asphalt. Sid Hedinger, I think.
And they were informed, they were sent letters to tell them to remove concrete because you're not allowed to put concrete over a tube, over a culvert.
But it's never supposed to, then it's trouble, I don't. It's
Yeah,
still
but I
there.
mean, but it is.
It's, yeah, it's not, it's the fact of,
It
we
did not
replaced a tube
conform.
last year, for instance, at a house on this part of the town, west part of town, and it had concrete over the driveway, and it took us half the battle just to get the concrete off of it. I mean, you know,
Sure.
we had to go to the jackhammer and come back up and beat it, we couldn't break it with the backhoe, and it's a nuisance, is I think the biggest deal of it. You know, the city, like when we put a tube in, as long as the customer buys the tube and the rock, we do all the work for free, but you spend a lot of time when you're trying to break concrete out.
But how often do we have to do it?
Well, there's none on them now, so we don't. You know, I don't know exactly what the ordinance reads or how, I mean, it was always the way I was always explained to is that you didn't put asphalt or concrete.
It is in an ordinance somewhere.
I don't know.
I don't know, it
It's
was just always
been policy, I know.
Yeah, there you go,
Right.
maybe that's the word, it was always been a policy that I was explaining to
And
me
the
that you
city
just
will
didn't put.
install all driveway tubes, and the customer pays for all the materials.
And since I've been here, I know we've put asphalt on drives, but we always bill them for it.
Right.
They pay for the asphalt, we do the work.
I know on mine right there, you can see a picture of it. I was told to stop the concrete sidewalk, and the city put a stake out there and said, don't go beyond this. And then I put brick in the rest of the way. I did, so they could dig it out.
Yeah, that was before mine, but yeah, that was always been my impression, what I was explaining.
So what's next here? Anything else for Ty?
You just seem to tell me which one to do the drive, I mean, I'm not doing it just to torque the Elmer, it's a private drive, unless you tell me if you want me to go put rock in it and we donate, then that's up to you.
Evidently, the rock ain't staying in it.
Well, no, it washes off, I mean, it's on slow.
It needs to be capped with something that'll stay there.
That's true.
The only thing I'd concern there is you just don't put ball worms, if you do theirs, you're gonna do others. I just don't want that to be my call, so that I get the reason for it later, so. You want me to fix it, I'll go fix it, if you want me to decide that.
I'm gonna look at it first.
Okay. You let me know.
Well, everybody look at it and we'll talk about it again
Right,
next
north
week.
side of the highway, you go out to leave.
If you pull in Piccadilly North driveway, you'll see it or feel it.
Yeah.
It's right north of the.
Thanks, Ty. Mr. Wright?
I'll make this short, my dinner's cold.
Mine
I hope
too.
them big numbers are rain.
It's got to be, we're, at 167% this month, or last month, at the wastewater facility plant.
You can't handle a couple, 3, 4, 5 inch rains a month?
Well, not when they're right on top of another 3 or 4 or 5 inch rain.
How much rain? Do you have a rainfall total for the month?
We're a little over 17 inches for July.
Can I have one of those?
Yes, you may. We should run 220,000 gallons. We ran an average of 368,000 per daily average, which totaled for 11.4 million. We should not exceed 6 million. I'm gonna have to write a letter explaining that we're under construction and we've exceeded an excessive amount of rainfall, and sorry, but I can't put it back. But even though we ran through that, our BODs were still 99% removal, 98% removal. Ammonia was still way below limit. oil and grease was good, and our E. coli is a little higher. The reason that that's not a 1 or a 0.5 like we usually run on an average is because when that floods down there, the water backs up into that UV pit and it doesn't have the correct contact time, and it's getting bacteria and stuff from the actual creek coming into the pit. I think in the bills I put a sump pump in that pit, and that seems to be helping because we were running in like a 30 on our E. coli, which is way below our limit, but it's still high. Since we put the sump pit in, we're back down to about a 2. But as long as the water can't get away from there as fast as it should, it's backing up and creating a little bit of a problem that way. But seems to be doing fine. Other than that, I do have one more thing. The ballpark, the big field is out of commission until next year. It's muddy, you can't hardly mow it. I'm going to try and keep it mowed as best I can. We're going to spray the fields and stuff to get the grass from growing on it. The little field has got big rocks showing and little trenches running through it from when the water ran over top of the field. I don't know if you want to wait till spring to put some dirt and sand and stuff on there and kind of level that off, but you can't drag it or do anything with it till we get some dirt and stuff hauled in there. The only thing that I know that goes on there is maybe a softball tournament, maybe, or the middle school has practice out there. We've contacted some of the softball associations, and they're like, well, we might be able to make do with what we have out here since the flooding and everything. So it's kind of up to you guys on what you want to do. If you want to attack it this fall and try and get them both under, or wait till maybe in the springtime and work on them.
Are you gonna do the work?
I'm gonna do some of it, but I'm not gonna be able to do all of it. I'm getting in crunch time for sludge hauling and stuff like that, and hopefully when it dries up, that's what I'm gonna be doing instead of ballpark stuff.
Can you kinda keep us posted and let us know?
Do we need to add dirt or just till up what's there?
It looks like to me that there's some dirt that needs to be added, maybe bladed around, maybe, I don't know if some of the ball association maybe have some members that want to come down and help, or somebody's got a tractor or something that maybe can do some of it. I don't know. There's logs and stuff up against the fence and gas cans from Perigo's junkyard and stuff over there that just now the wall, is where you can get out there and kind of see what's up. And I mean, it's just,
It's a mess.
there's junk everywhere. Trash from the junkyard, so I mean, it's not something that I can do myself in a couple of days. I mean, it's something that's gonna take a while if I do it myself, or if we.
You have sprayed or not? Or are you going to?
Tomorrow.
The fence line and
We've
stuff?
been working on that, and it's kinda, the big field has been untouchable till last
Until it
week.
dries out, you're not gonna be able to do nothing to it anyway.
And so, I just wanted to make you guys aware of it and kind of, maybe it's something for you to think about. You can think about it and we can talk about it next month. Maybe I can get some of the stuff done and see how we're doing. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm not sure there's any putting dirt or sand on it now this year with the rain season we've had, but something needs to be done probably, but I don't know, we need to spend any money on it right now.
I guess I just don't want any of the parents coming back at me and saying, well, how come we didn't do this or how come we didn't do that? I'm gonna pick up in sludge hauling pretty busy. I haven't been able to do it like I wanted to, and I'm gonna be unavailable for ballpark stuff, and it needs to be done. So if we don't do it now, I'll probably have time in the spring to do most of it, but I'm not gonna be able to do it.
The high school tournament, softball tournament is Labor Day weekend. Don't they usually use it?
Good luck.
I don't know if they
They have before, but it's a water stand on last
It's
week.
usually on short fest.
I mean, it's,
I know.
that big field's been underwater more than it's been dry.
Yeah, I mean, and there's, I don't know, there's some, I mowed it Friday, I guess I mowed it.
Brush hogged it.
And it's just, I had the deck completely raised in it. I mean, it's a disaster. I couldn't get over probably a third of it, maybe a quarter of it, because there's water still standing on it. So, you know, I mean.
Get it sprayed as best you can and see what happens.
Okay.
Revisit next month.
I guess so.
I don't know what kind of dirt you need or anything, but you got a contractor hauling truck after truck off.
Well, and I don't know that you want, I think a lot of that's got asphalty clay and stuff in it from the sewer. I don't know that.
Or ball diamond.
Put it on the ball diamond. You know, I mean, I understand, but some sand and.
We used to haul a little sand on it. Just to
Yeah, if you
dry
could
it
tell
out.
what was there, you put some, blend it with some sand.
I was amazed. I walked out there after the water went down. I mean, there's rocks that are, you can just see the tops of them showing that are this big on the top. And if you try to till it or do something, you know, I thought, well, I don't know how much you're gonna pull up, as in rocks up onto the field, and what big a mess you're gonna make doing that either. Maybe it'd be better to put a little dirt on it and then incorporate some sand with it and try and drag it back down and leave them big rocks right where they're at. But I wanted you guys to know the situation at the ballpark, so if someone talks to you, you'll have an answer for them, and we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Turned it into a water park.
There you
Yeah.
go.
What else?
Unfinished.
Anybody unfinished business, new business? Alderman comments?
I got something I'd like to bring up. I think that we need a 9 o'clock.
The what?
A time clock.
A 9 o'clock.
Where at?
At the city park.
Time clock? At the city barn? Didn't we talk about this a while back somewhere?
I've mentioned it before.
About this over the years, numerous times. We've checked with other cities of our size, and a little bit bigger. We've been down this so many times. They currently have pieces of paper they're writing down their time, they're signing it, they're verifying that they actually work these hours. If you have a time clock, you punch in at 7 a.m. and you go to Lucky's and eat breakfast and go to work at 9 o'clock. You're as honest as what you put down. I mean, punching a time clock is not gonna make people work any more or show up, or if it's the police department
If they
at
start
night,
at
or.
7, if the start time at 7, then they're gonna at least punch out at 7.
Yes, but if they go home and take a nap and come back at 9. And then when I'm running payroll, I see that they came to work at 7 and they worked till 4 p.m. and it's all great. I don't know what they did. And then the other issue is that the employee that actually comes to work before 7 and somebody interrupted him and he got sidetracked and went right to work doing something and didn't punch in. Well, then it's all messed up in payroll because, I don't know, it says he didn't come to work, and so then you've gotta get somebody to correct that. Then you're just going back to the same thing, it's only what you actually write down and say you did. If you're honest about that, you're gonna be just as honest.
Well,
Time
if the
code.
start time at 7 o'clock, then they'd be there at 7.
You watch what time we leave for lunch, Delmer? You see what time we come back? You see what time we go home? You watch us every morning.
Yeah, you scope us out every morning. And I told you once I didn't appreciate it, and I
I
still
mean,
don't.
I have respect for you wanting to watch out for us, that's fine, you're watching out for the city, whatever, I don't know what the reason be, but we all feel like we get treated like criminals, cause you're stalking us, keeping an eye on what we're doing.
That's taking money away from people.
Go down there and look at my time card.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what minute I get there.
Put your time
what
clock
minute I
in,
leave.
Delmer, you put your time clock in, I'm gonna punch it every time I come in the middle of the night, I'm gonna punch it every time I fix a water leak, I'm gonna keep punching it, so you just put her in.
That's the way to do it.
I had to go
Fine,
pick up
put her
Darren
in.
Harris's trash a while ago because the boys missed it today because of the construction. That's 25 minutes out of my day that I could spend with my wife and my new daughter. I didn't
All I'm
charge the
saying
city
is,
for
you're
that.
real keen on catching what time, I get there at 7:15 every morning, I'll admit it to anybody that wants to see it, but you don't see what time I come back from lunch, what time I go home, We make it up. We're not out to screw the city. I will promise you that. We all like our jobs. We all need our jobs. We're not trying to cut corners or steal money. So if you wanna have it, let's get her out there, cause it's
And the
getting
fact of the
old.
matter of that is too, Delmer, we're not walking around talking to these contractors, talking trash about the city, about employees and
I
how
had
to
a
run the
report about
place.
that too.
I haven't been talking to
Yes,
no
you have.
contractor.
They
And you
they
know you have.
specifically told us you did, and they got no reason to lie.
Why do they need to lie to us? They don't know us from Adam. You're a professional sitting up there in that chair, aren't you?
You think you're pretty cute, don't you, Jason?
You're not a professional if you're talking trash about the
Let's-
city council and everybody
You
else.
think you're-
Let's get back to the business at hand here. So how does the council feel?
Well, I've mentioned it before, but I think if we do for one, we have to do it for everybody. That was my, if we do it for one place of
Better
business.
find out what's gonna cost.
Yeah, I would need to get the figures to what it would cost.
I don't think that's gonna be cheap to start with.
Well, I was on my phone for 2 hours in Springfield, Illinois over the weekend. Who's gonna clock in for me?
That's
I'll
right.
call one of you if you guys wanna come up and clock in for me,
That's
but
right.
I'll be happy to do it, but I spent 2 hours during my son's ball tournament on the phone, so.
No, we're not saying that you guys don't do.
No, I'm just saying, I
overtime.
mean, I'm gonna tell them to show it if I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm not on the clock, don't call me. You know,
I don't know that that's the right answer.
it's not the right answer, you know.
But do most places of business have a time clock, just in general? I don't know.
I'll
Co-op
check
didn't.
again with cities, I think I'm gonna check before.
Mine don't, I'm
with
like
some
Kelly,
of the
they just
cities
call me
larger
when they
than
want
us.
me.
May
Exactly,
not
they got
have
my number.
time clocks.
They'll call me, they find me.
Now, like, does the farm shop have one? I have no clue. Do you have a time clock at the farm shop?
Yeah. They've got a lot more employees though, there's 4 of us, I see, I mean, there's not.
Well, overall, the city, I'm talking Jason.
Oh, yeah.
The whole city. If we do for one, I feel like we have to do it for everybody.
Oh, I
I
agree
agree with
100%.
that.
Mike, everybody.
I agree 100%.
That means getting one here, one at the shed, one at the wastewater for one guy, one in.
Mike's on salary.
Won't really matter to him, will it?
I don't care what they do,
Yeah, you're on a salary, so it don't matter where you punch.
Well, I
in.
mean, I write down exactly when I show up, when I leave,
It
and
matters what
if
hour
I
you
come in
work.
on Saturdays and stuff like that, I write it all down, cause I want you to know that I know that we all are on the same page. And I don't care,
And that's what I started
I don't
doing
care if it's
myself.
5 minutes, if I'm here on Sunday for 5 minutes to check the road, or I write down I was here for 5 minutes.
So, people are gonna have to clock out. Well, what I mean is, here at City Hall,
So then are you gonna wanna pay each of us for that time? Like, I was here Saturday for 3 hours that I just wrote down as I'd use it when one of my kids has a doctor's appointment or something. I didn't put that on my time clock.
So who keeps track of that?
I have a whole book of it from the time I
Yeah.
started, if you wanna see it.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just asking.
that's
don't
what
know
I
how
do.
it
I
works.
keep
Yeah.
track
Yeah,
of it in a
who's-
separate.
But who oversees you? I don't know.
Margaret
I'm
does.
yeah, I'm the one that does payroll.
But the thing is a lot of times Margaret and I are here on the weekends, or after hours, or things like that, and we don't charge you, we don't get overtime for that, we just write that down.
That's a big perk with a lot of companies is having that comp time that
Right.
you can work and, I mean.
Whereas otherwise
my
it's gonna
profession,
make
it's not
more,
very
I enjoy it.
plausible.
it's
You
gonna
know, I
make
mean,
more work for Margaret in the long run too, having to decipher, okay, so this much is this, whereas right now she can ask me and I can pull out the sheet for that month and show her.
And the guys at the city barn,
We do the same thing. There's a calendar right behind the door.
They don't
You're all
have
welcome to
overtime,
look
they
at it
don't
anytime.
turn in overtime. Years ago, it used to be, every time there was a little snow flying or whatever, why we had overtime. And we don't. They work straight hours and they don't turn in overtime when they have.
But there's a lot of hours that we work that you guys don't see.
So we got a calendar now. I said, you're more welcome. You can look anytime you want. It's right behind the door. We put plus and minus both on there. End of the month, they add it up. Whatever's plus, we carry it over to the next month.
So when does that take effect? Is that after 90 days of full employment, or?
Where they can
as
use
far as
trade
that?
time as far as up to like Ty's the supervisor for those guys, so he can allow it, like if Steve had something come up, that he had to take it out.
Well, for instance, what we did with Jason. Jason started on and
He's-
they had to go
yeah.
to doctor's appointments. So he would work through lunch on days, take off in the afternoons, he had 3 hours, well, we were writing down comp dice when he would come in, you know, when he started, if I needed to come in and check snow, I'd give him the extra hours, instead of me getting up coming in, I'd call him and say, hey, you wanna make a round out there, so he'd do it to get the hours, so he could get paid
Make
on
up my
payday,
time.
cause he didn't have sick or vacation time yet. So we just write it down.
But it
on
all
the
goes
calendar.
back to what Margaret said, is you're only as honest as your employees, and your good employees, you're gonna see them doing that stuff. Whereas if you start dinging them, they're not gonna do the extra.
Well, I think the start time at 7 o'clock, I think we need to beat it.
And that's fine, but you also have to take into exception that some of us do more than what is expected, and you're gonna
I don't have no
punish,
complaint with you girls.
right, but you're gonna punish everybody.
Start time at 7 o'clock, we need to beat it.
And there's days that I'm late, but I also had a,
Start at 7:30 and get off at 4:30. Start at 8 and get off at 5.
Well, I think you've, made a point, and I think we all need to think about this some more. I think we ought to,
Just let them come and go as they please, I guess, I don't know, but I think at 7 o'clock, we'll be there at 7, I think we need to be there.
anything else we need to bring up?
Yes, I have a question. What do we decide to do about them? Is there a committee, is there not a committee, is there?
I'll get with Ron, Jeff, and look at it.
He's on the committee, it sounds like.
Maybe we can appoint Mike to assist with it. You got enough to do, you right? You got sound.
I
You
work
just
for the,
want-
I work for the city, you just ask me, and I'll tell you if I got time
I'm
for that.
asking you, would you assist to help make a decision? That's
Sure.
me asking. I
Sure.
don't know if I'm overstepping my bounds with the mayor, but
Yep,
I'm here too.
another opinion.
All right.
yep.
And
You just-
Jason, and Jason too.
Don't leave anybody out when you have your.
You can get my opinion if you want me to go with you, but it probably wouldn't be worth a dime.
It don't matter to me.